Holy Spirit.
Do you mind if I ask a follow-up?
Fair enough. I'll move on to another question. Sorry, we have to disperse out the audience. Yes, you there?
I have a question for both speakers. So we try to define what is faith, but what is mind? We don't see mind, and how we define that.
How do we define? We've defined faith, but how do we define mind?
I have an answer.
Well, if you've got an answer, then give me a few seconds to think one up.
I have a response. I have a response, is what I have. And I'll go back to Spinoza and the tradition of neuroscience that really derives ultimately from Spinoza and comes forward, I think. Spinoza thought that a human being was a body-mind. In other words, the mind is simply, when we're born and socially and familially and so forth, the mind develops out of the body in somatic processes. And so we are not, there's no dualism between a mind and a body. We are body-minds. And I think that science over time, and what I've read of neuroscience, which is some, pretty much would, now again, if you've got a certain Anglo-American, you get somebody like Daniel Dennett, say, or Steven Pinker, and they go off crowd cuckoo land, in my opinion, on some of these things. But basically, I think that the idea that a human being is a body-mind is pretty scientifically based and pretty rational way to think of a human being. So the mind we cannot dissociate our minds from ourselves or our bodies. Our mind is a very complex outgrowth of somatic processes and social and historical processes as well. That's general.
Okay, this will be our last question. I'm going to have gentleman in the back.
This question for both the speakers.
Please speak loud enough so everybody can hear.
Considering both of your guys' definitions of faith and the questions that have been asked previously, I'd like to hear both of your perspectives on where is reason's place after we come to a decision by faith.
Where is reason's place after we come to a decision by faith? Well, but that's really not consistent with the way I think of faith and reason. Reason is a process. Reason is a process. Faith is an epistemic state, a state of knowing and believing. In some cases, once we have arrived at faith, through whatever process, and by the way, I have said that there is a rational road to faith. That is not the only way to faith. There are plenty of people here tonight who are not primarily rational in their arrival at the Christian position. But as the Apostle Peter says, that we are to be ready to give a reason, ready to give an account for the hope that is in us, for the faith that is in us. And so reason can then begin making more sense and turning the system of beliefs into a coherent, consistent, empirically justifiable whole. Reason has a place in explaining faith. Reason has a place in strengthening faith.
Is that the last question?
That is the last question. You can have a chance to answer if you'd like.
I'm not going to choose to answer it. What I would like to say, if I can say something to close our part of this at any rate, is that I appreciate the questions and I appreciate sitting with Ken and talking about these things in a serious manner, and also the engagement with all of you about these questions. I disagree fundamentally with many things. We're both, as well as you are, very serious about these questions, and we have really fundamental disagreements about them. But it is a good thing to sit down and seriously discuss these things, I believe. So thanks for that.
Very well. So I know many of you are eager. You've had your hands up for a while, and I know I didn't call on many of you, but don't forget that after the debate, you may have a chance, if the debaters are willing, that you can ask them. At this time, we'll move on to our closing remarks. Each speaker will have a few minutes to conclude. And let's see here. Dr. Daniels, will you please start us off with the closing remarks?
Okay. I guess I sort of already made half of my question. I forgot about this. Closing remarks. I have come to be, over a long period of time in my life, and these are questions that have occupied me through my youth, not always in pleasant ways, and throughout my academic career, and they continue to occupy me now that I'm retired and moved into the study of philosophy from literature. But these are important questions. I have come to be a complete and thorough materialist. I no longer have any belief whatsoever in the transcendental or the supernatural. And I think that material explanations, and I don't mean mechanical materialism, merely mechanical materialism, or atheism or something like that. I hope it's clear that I'm not coming from a Richard Dawkins type of position towards these questions. Although I think it's great that somebody like him wrote a popular book about the subject. He's a great evolutionary biologist, but I don't share that particular approach. But this is the position I've come to, and I think it is, to the best of my ability, a rational position based on the faculty of human reason, which, when all is said and done, given my own interest in art and beauty and so forth, it is the human faculty of reason is what we have, and it's what can make us or break us. I'm talking about human beings in general throughout the world. And I have very definite ideas, actually, about how that process might work. But I have no particular faith that it will, but ideas about how it might. And I think reason is what we have. That is our mark, our human mark, and that is our best and fullest possibility. It's not a matter of faith, it's just, there it is.
In closing, I'd like to say really how much I've enjoyed our first debate and the brief time that we spent together since then. I've come to respect Rich as a compassionate, caring man, a thinking, a deeply reflective man, and I respect you very much. And I'm glad to have this opportunity to discuss these things together. We have some differences, and I'd say that, in some respects our epistemologies are similar. You might not think it's so, but there are certainly some ways in which we differ. Of course, one of the differences, one of the main differences is in our epistemology, the primacy that Rich gives to reason. I would admit to other sources of knowledge as being equally valid. And I feel that ultimately, reason fails as an authority of establishing its own primacy. But I think one of the main reasons that we come to so that's one reason why we come to such very different conclusions. That is the relative importance of reason epistemically. And the second is a couple of our fundamental presuppositions. Your presupposition that there is no thing, there's nothing outside of reality. There's nothing outside of this side of this material universe to reality. That this material universe is all that there is. And Christians have a hard time understanding how non-Christians, how atheists can look at what we think is a complex, orderly universe and not conclude that there must be a God. But the fact is, if your presupposition is that there's nothing outside the universe, you really have no other choice. But, as I said, I believe that there is a rational road to faith as epistemic, and that there's an epistemic path leading to Christian faith that satisfies certain principles of rationality. Human reason compels no one to follow it to its end, and those who might otherwise follow it find roadblocks. But in the end, divine reason, the Logos, draws believers to and into faith. There is a road to faith, a way that's epistemic, fiduciary, alpistic, ontic, and rational, divinely rational. I believe there is a rational road to faith.
Thank you, Dr. I'm sorry. You can perhaps you can ask after the
I want to know
debate.
what a buckeye is.
It's a horse chestnut.
Oh, thank you.
Stannis, I see.
So on behalf of the Socratic Club, I'd like to thank all of you for coming to tonight's debate. Be sure to go to our next debate, April 6th, at the Sun. The topic is evolution compatible with Christian belief.
Yeah, I don't know. Thank you.